Hi, welcome again. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create grass like this using Megascan Atlases. These are GameReady Grass, so you can have a lot of grass without really worrying about performance at all. Alright, let's see how we can do this. Here, we're going to use a plugin called OneGrass Engine. That's a plugin that you can get it from the marketplace. Check the description below how you can get that. Then we need to get some atlases from Megascan. So let's get some. Alright, now I have opened the Quixel bridge. Then you can go to Home, Atlases. Now you have a lot of atlases over there, and you can start with grass, and there are a lot of grass that you can bring into Unreal Engine, or you can even check for something like fern. So that's also possible. So here I have just downloaded a couple of these fern and grass into my project, so we can start working on them. As you can see, here's my Megascan directory. Here I have atlases directory. I have a couple of grass atlases, so we can work with this. Right, then I have mentioned earlier, we are using a plugin called OneGrass Engine, so you can get it from the marketplace. After you have added that plugin into the engine, you need to enable that plugin into your project. You can do that by going Edit, Plugins, and search for OneGrass, and make sure you enable this plugin for this project. I have already done that, so I don't need to do it again. Then let's create a new project so we can start from the scratch. And then go to the place actors and search for OneGrass. Then you will have something like OneGrass card maker. Simply drag that into your scene and go to the details panel. Then you have a place to add some atlas textures like opacity, base color, normal, and roughness. And let's do that. First, I'm gonna start with the fern over here, fern atlases. Here, I'm gonna drag my opacity into this slot, and likewise I'm gonna grab the base color. Here it's called albedo, and then normal and roughness. After that, I'm gonna hit segment now button. As you can see over here, it will simply segment these items in this atlas into individual pieces, so I can click this button and go through each and individual segment. So now our idea is to align this segment into the center, bottom center. So we can do it manually by moving these sliders, but it will be better we can simply click this auto transform all button and it will do everything just for us. Then you can simply click the show next segment button and try to go through all these segments and make sure they are looking nice. If you don't like this segment, you can simply hit this ignore segment checkbox and hit apply setting, and it won't be used in the next phase of things that we are trying to do, including scattering these segments. I think I'm good with this. And here I can simply hit this scatter now button. So it will do something like this, scatter some of these segments over here. Here I'll say I go with 20 items. All right, let me hit scatter now. Also, I think in this fern, I think the scattering range should be something shorter in the middle, like let's say 4 to 0.6. Right, that means somewhere over here we only scatter on that place. I'm gonna hit it again. Alright, I think I can increase the height as well. Right now the height scattering scale is basically 0.5 to 1. I think I'll go with 1.0 to 1.5. Alright, I think now the problem is there are too much items over here. Let me reduce it to 10 items. Alright, yeah, something like this. And then I can even try to do rotation as we go from the center. And let's go with something like 30, and I think I can have more items over here, something like 15. Alright, I think I like it. Then I'm gonna hit make single card. So then it will create the grass card using these scattered segments. Right, and I think I like it. I like this. In order to create a grass card, it will be nice to have some sort of cluster. So I'm gonna hit this make card cluster button. Then it will create something like this. So I have more grass over here and more fern over here. I think I like it. And if you're curious how to use these settings, I have a separate video on that. Try to check the description below or somewhere on the screen over here. Now we are trying to bake this grass into a static mesh, so we can use it any sort of grass tool available in Unreal Engine, including the foliage tool and also landscape grass tools, or maybe even with the voxel plugin and so on. So here I'm gonna give a location like, let's say, my grass. So this is the directory of this grass. I can give something like my grass / fern 1, something like this. I'm gonna hit bake mesh. Now I'm inside the content directory. So here I can go to the my grass directory, and here we have a directory called fern1. So this is the static mesh that we have just baked. I can double click and open this. As you can see, it's quite low poly, and you can see the right now it's about 216 triangles. I can reduce this even further using LODs. Here's how to do that. From the LOD settings over here, I'm going to select the LOD group to foliage. Yes. And then I'm going to hit number of LODs to 4 and hit apply changes. And now you can scroll over here, and you can see as I scroll, now you can see I'm at the LOD tree and triangles count is just 26. Right, I think I like this. Alright, now you can go to file and save everything. Right, likewise you can create as many as grass using these atlases within just a couple of minutes. Here I just simply skim over these settings, but if you want to do more, and there are some options and we have separate videos on that, just check the description below to go through the OneGrass Engine documentation and try to see how you can use this tool. I hope this tool will be really useful. Now you can create unlimited amount of grass without jumping here and there. Alright, see you soon with something interesting. Bye.